They had what they felt is the prosecutors were insinuating Diddy somehow had something to do with the destruction.
Which is sort of like losing the Cassie video in 2016 at the Intercontinental.
Yes. Yes.
There's two big issues with presenting this kind of testimony to the jury. One, they might think you're trying to draw a connection where you have none. You have one set of fingerprints and you're testifying about another set of fingerprints that you can't actually connect. The other problem is this had only happened around 8 months before that evidence was destroyed. So it plants the seed, according to Diddy's defense team, that Diddy was somehow behind the destruction of evidence, maybe paid off an LAPD official. And you remember during the jury selection process, a lot of people said that they thought Diddy was a rich and powerful person who could make things go away.
Yeah, and the defense is saying the prosecution is playing into that conspiracy theory that maybe is already out there in the jury pool.
Yeah, but there's no evidence that Diddy paid anybody off or anything.
No,
which is their
make
point.
them sort of prejudice against Diddy, just the mere thought in front of them. It's hard to unring the bell.
This highlights the inherent bias against wealthy defendants. The prosecution's insinuation plants seeds of doubt, framing Diddy as a figure capable of manipulating the justice system. Such tactics raise serious concerns about fairness in high-profile trials.
Seems like a small, insignificant thing that the defense is saying.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's insignificant.
No, because clearly people think that. I mean, there's
rule for the prosecution in this is like a nothing thing.
Yeah, well, you're right that the judge just said, "Hey, jurors, don't listen to that testimony." Struck the testimony, but didn't declare a mistrial.
Let's hold on. Get real for a second. What the prosecution is saying, or insinuating, according to the defense, is Diddy knew those fingerprints were going to incriminate him via some associate and connect him to the arson and then the burglary.
And by the way, there was also testimony from an LAPD officer that the car, they had a photo and they saw the car that was, or an SUV that was parked in front of the house led back to, it was owned by Bad Boy. So again,
but that's at least hard evidence. But the insinuation is that Diddy destroyed the fingerprint because it incriminated him in the arson and connected him to the burglary.
I have a very important question.
It's an
I have a very important question.
There's reasonable doubt here.
It is an insinuation, but here's my question. Did the LAPD officer offer any explanation why evidence from an investigation that was less than a year old, that was at that point
was
7, 8 months, why was it destroyed? Now, I'm not insinuating anything, but if I'm on the jury, I want to know why was it destroyed?
Well, let me tell you, they watch CS.
Point, though, Charles. It's a great point, because why was evidence that's so fresh destroyed? This isn't a cold case from 25 years ago.
This highlights the inherent bias against wealthy defendants. The prosecution's insinuation plants seeds of doubt, framing Diddy as a figure capable of manipulating the justice system. Such tactics raise serious concerns about fairness in high-profile trials.
Where you're clearing out the decks for new evidence coming in. This is a very fresh case.
Why was it destroyed?
Yeah, the arson investigator who mentioned that they were destroyed, he said it was strange that they were. He would have needed to sign off on something like that, and somebody went around him and did this.
So when was it? What year? This is important. What year was it destroyed? And what year was the? And what year? And what year? And what year was the arson?
The arson was January.
In January of 2012, and the burglary was December of 2011. So
okay,
about 8 months.
So here's the thing, and people in the jury watched CSI. The statute of limitations had not run.
This is very true.
The statute of limitations had not run. Why would they destroy evidence when it's still a live case that can be prosecuted if they get more evidence, especially when it involves a celebrity as big as Diddy? Why would something that critical be destroyed?
Why do I feel like, as you're speaking right now, you're making the defense's case for a mistrial?
I'm saying that it's powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful. I don't.
So who destroyed it and why?
Well, by the way, the bottom line here is the judge refused to declare a mistrial. There was no mistrial, but the judge did do something that I always think is interesting in a trial. The judge said that the jury gave them instructions they cannot consider any of the testimony about the fingerprints, either at the burglary or at the fire.
That's the biggest crock of all.
So so the jury is going to act like they.
The biggest crock of all trials is telling the jury, don't listen to something you just heard, and, but disremember it, expunge it from your brain. It's not practical, but it's something the judge has to do.
Plus, the defense made such a big stink about it that you got to think, oh, why are they raising this?
Exactly, it makes it even
worse.
worse.
Something must have happened. They got rattled.
People's brains are not like an Etch-a-Sketch. And the reality here is that on appeal, this could come up because, look, look, I think it is interesting. Why was it destroyed? Because, look, a lot of people are going to say that Diddy also destroyed the original video at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. So if he's capable of doing that, did he destroy the fingerprint or did he pay somebody off?
This line raises the stakes dramatically. If the jury believes that Diddy could orchestrate such actions, it could sway their perception of guilt. This scenario not only impacts the current trial, but could also influence future cases involving
to destroy
figures.
the fingerprint in 2011 or 12. And, look, there's no proof that happened, but how does the jury not to
How does the jury not?
leap? That's right.
How do you
That
bring
is
it up
right.
on appeal if you don't know what the answer is?
No, you bring up the prejudice to their client.
Yeah,
what
that's
you do
exactly
is you
right.
preserved it for appeal, and you say, the judge overruled me, didn't declare a mistrial, that was an error, and now they have a grounds for appeal. I'd be interested to see if he loses and gets convicted, what they do with this.
In this explosive segment, the Diddy trial takes a dramatic turn as evidence destruction emerges as a central theme. The implications of this could lead to a mistrial, casting doubt on the integrity of the prosecution's case. As the courtroom drama unfolds, one question looms: will justice prevail in a system seemingly rigged by wealth and influence? Stay tuned as this story develops.